You can't spell culture without cult. Nobody has proved me wrong since I came up with this. And nobody will. Because you know why? It is a fucking cult. It takes a cult-like mentality to believe that you can preserve your culture. Your culture is nothing but a bunch of bullshit handed down for you from dead people for you to continue believing that you are much better than those other people around you. And in fact, those other people should have been the ones to also have been dead. I don't know how people haven't noticed this. It's literally in the fucking word. Cult culture. Because it creates these cults of personality for figures you have no attachment to other than like your ancestors were alive when they were alive and they did some shit. And then your ancestors like that shit and then they keep talking about them and now you're like, oh wow, that's them. It's funny enough. It's a reason why so many people. Okay, I wouldn't say so many people, but like an argument that's brought up in in opposition to interracial marriage is like, oh, we have a cultural clash and blah blah blah. Like, you have to invoke culture to prevent to prevent you possibly being with someone and marrying someone that you actually really like or love. I get it. Okay, some cultures are incredibly antagonistic to one another. And marriage itself, it's a marriage between families. It is. Like a lot of people like to act like, yeah, it's just, it's a wide ass network. It is a wide network of people. I do understand that argument that, maybe if you marry into somebody, you have to have compatible cultures, but heck, even people within compatible cultures fucking domestically abuse each other all the time, domestically abuse their kids, right? All of it for just arbitrary bullshit practices. You having compatible cultures or being from the same culture doesn't prevent you from abusing your kids the way people get away with, the way so many fucking breeders get away with, because they have this god complex ingrained to them through that fucking culture. You know? Where do you think racism comes from? Where do you think like this this hostility between religions comes from? Especially the one for religions, because it's like you all believe in the same garbage bullshit. You all believe in the same bullshit that somehow emboldens you enough to kill your own children, to kill people who blaspheme against your all-powerful fucking deity. What the hell makes you any different? There's nothing benevolent about your fucking religion, or the way humans have practiced it, at least. Almost every single one has blood on their fucking hands that they pass down to their children. Like literally, the children are blood soaked before they're even stepping on the fucking ground. What the hell makes your religion so special? What the hell makes it so special that you have to preserve it? You think you are going to be the fucking progenitor of the next, I don't know, religious believers? Like, come on, man. This was an institution created with you as an empty vessel in mind. It was not created like, oh yeah, I know down the line, John is going to exist and he's going to be a great believer, which is fucking hilarious, because even the Bible itself, the predictions in the Bible itself, so many people have based their entire fucking personalities on certain prophets and saying that they're the new version of Moses or the new version of Jesus or literally God himself. Culture is the direct creator of a cult of personality. That's what it's there for. Because it sells you that, this individual was so great and you are a part of this culture. So you have to preserve this culture because of these individuals. And those individuals probably couldn't give a less of a fuck about you if they actually met you. I had two different titles for this video. Uh, there's the one I've put right now, and then there's the one. The other one was Coca-Cola is a country, and obesity is patriotism. I think it works. I think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And the lengths that people will go to defend their culture is literally the reason why so many people are undergoing such fucking brutal misery right now. Oh, it's my culture. I'll die for my culture. I'll die for my religion. I'll die for my God. Your God is so pathetic he needs you, a fucking puny mortal, to die on his behalf, and yet he's everywhere all the time, has all the power in the fucking universe, has all the knowledge that there is to have, but he needs you to die for him, killing other mortals. I'm telling you, that's not a fucking benevolent being. That is a malevolent, it is an evil fucking entity that could make you believe some shit like that. Just like culture itself. Because we can say that there's certain things that probably make us revolted, repulsed, that disgust us, right? There's certain things you might see in another culture that maybe disgust you, but you know, where does that belief really come from? Where does that understanding really come from? And how sure are you that your own culture doesn't participate in the exact same thing that you're disgusted in? They just do it in a way that justifies them being the superior one, the superior culture, the better culture. Especially knowing what we know now, right? There's all this talk now. Well, it's not even just now, but like, you know, we need to preserve this culture for the, like, even with all this fucking preservation of culture, has it stopped us from getting into more violent wars? Has it stopped the mass famines? Has it stopped the mass corruption, the debt? No, it hasn't. What the fuck have you provoked? You know, congratulations. I guess you can feel good about your fucking culture, right? What is it for? What is it really for? If not as another mechanism to keep birthing more children, they need to preserve my. Is that part of that bullshit legacy argument, right? My culture needs to be preserved. Our culture needs to be preserved. No, it really doesn't, man. The world will not miss your culture. Okay, it really. I'm sorry to say it. It just won't, right? When I mean the world, I mean the planet, right? We're so fucking up ourselves about our significance on this planet. It's mind-boggling to me. It really is. You got people that worship the fucking cops. You got people that worship the fucking clergy. You got people that worship billionaires. You got people that worship this false idea of themselves to the point that any sacrifice of anybody is just on the table. Any sort of dirty tactics are on the table. And what are you even, you know, what if worship is really relevant in this reality, when are you supposed to reap the benefits? Because the one, for me, the one thing that nauseates me so much about the fucking Abrahamic religions is how they say God is a protector God, but then when you ask, okay, but like thousands of kids got raped by priests last year or last month, you know, why? Well, it seems like he was dozing on the job, you know? I would think that's something that he would at least want to be known to be a protector for, but Of course, they have their demonic ass excuses and the victim blaming and the, mysterious ways. Oh no, they'll be punished in hell for it. Shut up, man. Just give me a break. The first lie they teach you about God is God itself. That is the first biggest lie they teach you. To think that in the reality that we live, there's some sort of mysterious miasma that's a benevolent force that just like stops you from getting hit by a bus once in a while or something. It is just inconceivable how many grown logical adults still hold on to this kind of bullshit. If a kid comes up to you and is like, I'm gonna be a CEO and I'm gonna do all this. I'm gonna be the CEO and the president and a movie star and I'm gonna do all this stuff for people, and adults will just laugh, right? And then on Sunday they'll wake up and go into a fucking church and sing these songs that are meant to evoke that emotion that they think is God, right? This collective mass hysteria that also feeds into it, and then pays some fucking dude in a cloth money. It is insane to me the lengths that people will go to protect whatever bullshit is they think they're protect. Like, and if you look at culture itself, while it can produce these tangible things, but at the same time, you can lie to yourself that you own it. But most things produced by culture nowadays are just owned by corporations, like truly owned by corporations. It's so weird to me every time I see, like, especially like these fascists talking about, like, white people produced all these things, and it's like, okay, why aren't you a fucking billionaire then? Like they scramble to fucking understand that you're just bootlicking and advocating for fucking corporations who could give less than two fucks about whether you live or die. And in fact, they want you to die on their behalf. Corporations and governments. You are nothing but a cog in the machine to them, no matter who you are, no matter what political system you are in. To lie to yourself that you're going to be able to agitate yourself enough to want to kill somebody else as a means of protecting your culture, like you have something to lose, as if whatever you think is a part of your culture can't just be taken away from you by the same people you're fighting for. It's madness. It is fucking madness. And the more you start reading into it, the less it makes sense. And, if you're born, to people or in like a community where you've been like historically persecuted, I would think it matters even more to you that you don't need to make another fucking person to carry on that generational trauma. I would think that makes the most sense, personally. You can let the ones who want to stay here and fucking bludgeon each other do it. You're not going to spill my child's blood over it. You can try and do it to me, but I'm going to take out at least 7 of you pieces of shit before it actually happens. I guarantee you. I don't think that's anything for a child to want to inherit. Because they inherit that cultural bullshit baggage, whether you want them to or not. And you don't know if they're going to be more violent than you about it. Because nowadays, with how interconnected people are, people from across the world can talk to each other instantly on several different platforms. They can ask, okay, what's life like in China? What's life like in Russia? What's life like in Egypt, right? You just make instant connections like that. They can even like take pictures of certain monuments or whatever and tell you, yeah, I walk past this all the fucking time. There's no mystery to this shit anymore. You can go on YouTube and see all different places, Learn about this place, learn about that place. Find people in the comment section who are expanding more about it. There's no real mystery to be had. And, in this era where we pretend that every human being has this intrinsic value to them, well, they do. People just gesture about it all the time. They just like to they posture about, like, yeah, every human being has value, when really they don't. They don't care about 98% of them at all. Like, if anything, they have like they just despise them as less than animals. If that's the case, I would say culture itself is a huge fucking barrier to seeing the value in other human beings. Culture and religion. I mean, I personally believe that culture forms religion and then religion forms the culture. Because if you look at how the reason why Islam is this conservative, okay, this is like this past few centuries of Islam has become way more hardline than in the past, like a lot more hardline. But if you look at how Islam developed, like this is like this Arabian desert nomad, how would I say it? It developed out of a very, very strict culture itself. Like pre-Islamic cultures, they merged into Islam, right? It wasn't just this new, like, yeah, no, all the women are gonna wear hijabs or whatever. No, even in some Christian sects and in some Jewish sects, they also wear the female head covering or body covering, whatever. At the same time, you'll see that in these places where Islam was the main reigning religion, and still is, you'll see that women have these like just beautiful, colorful dresses and gowns and all this kind of stuff, Look at Iran, for example, or even Afghanistan, like some of the absolutely just amazing and colorful designs, but yet in the last 50 years, oh man, that shit is tragic. Just go and I think I'll even post some pictures up. What Iran looked like in the 1950s and what Afghanistan looked like in the 1950s and 60s before their religious, their Islamic revolutions, You wouldn't even believe you're in the same place. And I know that there was a lot of other politics going into power. There was a lot of, depends which era it was that these people were in, who was leading at the time. But at the same time, if you look at a picture of Iran in the 1950s, it just like, you're just looking at the women themselves, but then you just look at the place and you're like, wow. Is this really the Islamic shithole that we've been told this place is? And yet, these places have just so much. They do have, culture can be a beautiful thing. It can be, It's when it becomes an ugly thing that you realize, what are the pros and cons of, what are really the pros and cons of holding on to this shit? If language disappeared tomorrow, humanity would be in the most elevated position it has ever been in the past 20,000 years, honestly. If language just vanished, I honestly think we'd be better off interacting the way like cats do. Cats, they piss on their territory, and it's so funny. If you literally see how cats interact, even just domesticated cats, it is so fucking funny. I remember there was a day these two cats were fighting next to my wall, next to my house. And they were meowing, they were growling at one another. And I literally saw one jump off the wall is 3, maybe, it's twice my height. So it's let's say 3 point something meters, almost 4 meters. Almost 4 meters high. And the cat just jumps off because like they're chasing each other, growling each other on the wall. They chase each other. One jumps off, lands, and runs across the road, and the other one jumps down, follows it all the way across to the other road. I'm like, what the hell? Did it steal like your fucking stash of rats or something? It was so fucking funny. I honestly think humanity would be better that way. We don't need weapons. We just learn how to jump down from like fucking tall ass trees and just chase somebody down and just fight with one another until you get tired. And then you just go your own way. I honestly think that would have been a far better approach than what we're doing to each other right now. Right? Look at different, if we looked at other animals and emulated their culture, we'd be far better off because there's no way this is what the fucking an enlightened species does. Are you kidding me? What other species creates debt? Seriously, what other species puts another species puts itself into debt? What the fuck? How is this a fucking brilliant idea? Some like brilliant species defining idea, and yet it's just like the direct cause of so much fucking bullshit and misery. You know? I say whatever useless, toxic aspects of culture that you adhere to right now, just leave them. Just forget them. Abandon them. Right? If there are aspects of your culture that teach you to be good to other people, teach you to be good to animals, to the environment, keep that. You know? As few cultural values as possible. And not even the fucking broad shits. I'm talking about the interpersonal ones. Those few aspects of culture are really all that we really, really need to function. Everything else is just an excuse to create another fucking product or service. That's how I see it, at least.